Hey, hey, hey. Time for another out-of-this-world story from our space. Today in our space, we learn that life doesn't end after infidelity or divorce. It very much begins. And eventually, the cheater just become another stranger on the street. Up first, we can't let the cheaters win. I still feel broken, used, and worthless 8 months later. It has been 8 months since I, 29 male, got cheated on by my ex, 33 female, despite me doing my best to build a family with her 2 lovely boys. Basically, she cheated on me with multiple men, some her exes, as I was away from home busy working and growing a business I had just started. I thought I was doing this for them, just to provide for her and her kids, but on my absent days, she would go partying and sleeping around while leaving the kids with her younger sister at night. Sometimes, she would be gone for a whole weekend and wouldn't respond to my calls. I'm a trusting person and I never thought anything of it, until one day, her younger sister opened up to me and told me everything she did behind my back, including bringing men into her house when I was away. I was heartbroken since I really did love her and the kids. I blocked her on all socials and moved out and got another place, but still kept in touch with her sister, who told me she was still on that carousel. Finally, a month ago she tried to reach out, but I wasn't available, and so she came to my workplace and found me. She told me all those things were lies and she never loved anyone else and the kids miss me. But I know better than getting back with a cheat. What I really don't know how to navigate is the recovery to my crushed self-esteem and feeling like less of a man than the ones she cheated me with. For the last 8 months, I have worked on myself and the business I was sacrificing for is taking shape and finances are improving, but there's always this broken feeling that won't go away and it's robbing me of my happiness. Meanwhile, she's still having the time of her life, jumping from man to man, and here I am crushed, like I meant nothing. The community comes to this person's side. Belf17 says, "First, I think it's time to cut contact, including the sister. You don't need to know what she does with her life." Then the self-esteem problem. Well, it probably is because you were thinking you weren't enough to make her be loyal and in love with you, etc. But we aren't in a Disney movie. No matter how much you love someone, they won't change if they don't want to. You think you weren't enough, but enough for who? For a girl that cheated and slept around, left her kids alone, get drinks, doesn't care about everyone else, etc. Is this the person that determines your worth? But if you still struggle, I would suggest you to improve yourself. You already have the good company, but why not go to the gym? Get better clothes, improve your house, etc. And it's 50-50. It depends on the person, but why not go on a few dates and meet new people? The OP replies, "I think that makes sense, I guess, letting myself tie my worth on her. Actually, I have been working out, and so far I have found a great place with all new stuff, and I have a nice wardrobe. Meeting new people might take time as I still have the bitter taste of infidelity in my head." CDB outside chimes in, "She isn't thriving, she is surviving by playing damsel in distress. People like this get bored with stability. They don't trust it. They can't maintain it. You are building something worthwhile. Any shame for this relationship belongs to her. Focus on defining your boundaries and values. That will help you recognize a worthy partner." OP, I'm so sorry that's happened to you. It's absolutely soul-crushing. What a witch. You're more than a man than those men ever could be, OP. You were taking care of her and her kids, and treating your kids as your own. That's a noble and beautiful thing. I'm so sorry that was ripped away from you. Try to focus less on what she's doing. Is she jumping from guy to guy? She's not happy. She's literally so unhappy with herself that she has to behave disgustingly. Instead, place that focus on you and try new things. Do things that bring out your confidence. Do things that make you feel good about yourself. Try to busy yourself with things that keep those thoughts from your mind. Focus on self-love. With that, you'll realize how you deserve so much more than she could ever give you. Solely put yourself out there and see yourself as the catch that you are. If you could tell OP one thing, what would it be? Meanwhile, next up, cheaters aren't happy. They're miserable. Why do they get to be happy in the end? We stayed loyal, committed, sacrificed here and there, work on ourselves, on our flaws to be a better partner for them, but they still cheated. Regardless of all the time and resources we invested in the relationship, they gave up on us with no second thought. Now they are hopping from one relationship to another with no remorse or regret. Meanwhile, here we are reeling in pain and slowly picking up pieces of our hearts and dreams, yet they are happy. Days, weeks, months, or years later, they seem happy, and we are still stuck with the pain they caused us and other people we loved, kids and family. We were worth that little to trade in for a brief excitement with an affair partner they barely knew? I know life isn't fair and karma isn't real, but why do such people get to win and move from guy to guy having a blast, while we, the better partners, get to hurt for years? Slight Citron 7064 reacts first. Remember that you can never really know how another person is feeling. Outside Guava 8627 chimes in, a truly happy person would never be so comfortable making someone else miserable. Cheaters are masters at masking their pain with delusion. Don't feel angry, feel sorry for them. They will always know deep down they're lost. They expect that from themselves. Discard user account has this thought. OP, I just looked at your previous post. From your description of your ex, she is truly a broken person. All of her partying and promiscuity speaks of a person who can only feel good about themselves if they are validated by others. She's a sad, pathetic person who can never know what it means to genuinely love someone. Outwardly, she may seem happy and carefree, but that is just an act. Don't compare yourself to her. You are faithful, you have integrity, you know how to love another. You are a far better person than she is. Give yourself time to heal. Learn to be satisfied and content on your own. Ultimately, forgive your ex. Get to the point emotionally where you wish her well. Doing this will free you. Your ex won't occupy any part of mind, and she won't have any control over you. Godspeed, OP. You didn't deserve what happened. You will not only survive, but thrive. Dave Bowman, 1968, has a nice thought. My ex did that. Went from guy to guy to guy in a savage party of girl lifestyle, and it sucked for me to watch her do that. That's what a couple of decades. I run into her at a fancy dress-up gala event. I'm there with my beautiful wife and friends. Everyone's all dressed up fancy. In walks my ex, squeezed into a cocktail dress 2 sizes too small in her 40s, with another girl in her early 20s. They go around the event, trying to hit on guys, at an event that was very much not that kind of thing. See, she got stuck there. Never married, never had kids. All things she was in a hurry to do with me until she wasn't. I have all of that. A great long-term marriage, great kids, great friends, great financial success. The results of decades of hard work and living with integrity. So I just put my arm around my wife, laughed my butt off, and when the party was done, I went home to my awesome life. Who or what she went home to, I have no idea, and couldn't care less. Karma isn't some magic set of scales reinforcing justice. Karma is just the natural result of your actions. Sometimes it takes a while to play out, but it almost always does. I honestly don't think it's happiness, OP. I think the people are so unhappy with themselves that they reach outside of the relationship to feed that ego and gain that instant gratification. They have to ruin beautiful things and hurt good people because they don't feel like they deserve it. Well, I think this is the case in most instances. The unfortunate thing is that their choices cause pain, and this pain causes scars. It's a difficult hell to get out of, but we have to find the light within ourselves in order to crawl out of that darkness. The best thing we can do is focus on ourselves and what makes us happy. Focus less on what they do. They aren't important anymore. What are your thoughts on this? Up next, you know we've won when the butterflies don't flutter when you lock eyes once again. Have you run into the ex after the split? What happened? This happened to me recently. I was at a service station filling up my car, then went in to pay. Whilst I was waiting in line, I could see out of the station windows a car that looked familiar. Watched a woman who looked familiar walk into the station and join the back of the line. It was my ex. I don't think she noticed me first, until I had paid and was walking out past the line. I made an effort to look directly at her as I approached and passed to exit the doors. She definitely saw me, definitely made eye contact. Her eyes went a little wide and down away from me, and that was it. There wasn't any form of karma or catharsis I was hoping for. It was just meh. Has anyone else run into their ex after the divorce, split, breakup? If so, what was it like? Director 2530 says, I recently ran into my ex-wife. I saw someone leaving the nail salon as I was entering the dry cleaners next door. When I exited the cleaners, a Honda CR-V slowly drove past me. The driver stared at me and seemed surprised. I didn't recognize the car. The woman had plaited blonde hair. She was wearing too much makeup and she looked like she was 40 to 50 pounds overweight. Later that night, I got a telephone call from an unknown number. It was my ex. She started the conversation by saying, "You could have at least waved at me." The light bulb went off and I realized who was driving the Honda. I didn't have any more F's to give, so I said, "That was you? Damn." Needless to say, she hung up. Glass Individual 9203 adds, I ran into my ex at the grocery store about 6 years after divorce. I was with my wife. She made eye contact, saw I wasn't alone, put her head down, and moved to a different aisle. God bless my wife, and she asked me if I wanted to talk to my ex. I said I had nothing to say to her, and we finished our shopping. Wise Papaya 6 has this to say. After her affair, I tried, but deep down I knew I couldn't do it. I had an opportunity for promotion to the corporate office. I informed her that I would be going alone and divorce was coming. I moved, came back to finalize the divorce. 3 years passed and I'm home visiting my parents. I decided to go grab something to eat. I thought I saw her, but wasn't sure. I brushed it off as being home, stirring up memories. As I'm pulling up to my parents' house, I see her pop out of a car. I pull into the driveway, get out and say, "Sup?" Walked into the house and closed the door. About 15 minutes later, my mom says, "Why is X standing in my driveway? Go talk to her." "No thanks." Finally, my mom does. She is out there maybe 3 or 4 minutes, comes back in and says, "Wow, you are still struggling with this. You really hate her." "Nope, don't hate her, but I don't like her either. I actually feel nothing." If I'm being honest, up until that point, I bet I still care for her. But when I seen her, there was just nothing. Mini Tanker Guy says, "Mine encounter was almost identical to yours. Late night, stopped to get gas. I was the only one there at the time. Was just getting my change back and returned to my car, and there she was at the door smiling at me. I just walked past her with no feeling other than, eh." She was intentionally trying to get me to communicate with her as she had parked right in front of my car in a 12-pump station. Just to let you know, you have reached the place you need to be. No feeling, just indifference. Your ex might as well just be a wooden post on the side of the road. Nothing to see, nothing to worry about. My friend, you are free. I think it's a good sign when you lock eyes and feel nothing. That's growth. That means something. You're not obligated to say anything to them. They're just another stranger at this point. Thoughts? And lastly, experiencing infidelity doesn't make you damaged goods. He shattered my world and destroyed my trust. My first husband raped me and emotionally abused me. It took me almost 10 years before I could finally name what he did to me. That's when I divorced him. That's the good part. A couple years later, when I married my soon-to-be ex, I thought I'd found my forever love. We made each other laugh. We raised our amazing son. He supported me in my writing career and cheered when I sold a book or won an award. I supported him as he built up his own career. We were best friends and a team. Or so I thought. Then came Labor Day. I woke up early, insomnia is such fun, and was having coffee when I spotted his phone on the table. I can't tell you why I decided to check, but I did. What I found were 2 burner phone accounts, a second Reddit account with dick pics and cum tributes, messages, 2 from half a dozen sex workers, and more messages from dozens of casual hookups with men. To say I was stunned is an understatement. By the time he woke up, I'd collected a few screenshots, but I was so shattered I couldn't bring myself to confront him. The next day, I searched his laptop and discovered he'd spent tens of thousands of dollars on sex workers. He also kept a diary of his encounters going back 10 years. That evening, I confronted him. He didn't deny anything, though when I asked how long he'd been unfaithful, he lied and said 3 years, not 10. He also didn't seem at all sorry. That week was awful. My stomach hurt the entire time. My sleep meds were useless. Soon-to-be ex pretended I didn't exist until Friday, when he awkwardly said he never meant to hurt me. He was just trying to figure out his sexuality. Oh, and he'd be fine with an open marriage. Someone, please, give me a medal for not punching him in the face. There is no chance of reconciliation here. I trusted him absolutely, and in return he destroyed my life. Since that Friday, I've had myself tested for STDs, hired a lawyer, and found an apartment. Soon-to-be ex continues to visit sex workers and gay hookup sites. He's pretended to be kind, but when I asked him when he'd stop loving me, he said he'd rather not answer outside mediation. Which leads me to conclude that he never loved me. He married me because he was broke, the sex was free, and I could provide him with a comfortable life. 31 years wasted on this F-wit. 10 years on the first one. I know none of this is my fault, but it's really hard to believe I'm not damaged goods or no one will ever truly love me. Iditra has some supportive responses. Hey OP, my ex cheated on me with women, men, trans women, etc. He also gave me GSHV2 from cheating. I also decided not to reconcile or broke up with him on the spot when I found out everything. I blocked him on everything and went no contact immediately. I haven't seen him or spoken to him since. I posted the following as a comment on another post and I want to share it here as well. I can't speak for everyone other than myself, but reconciliation was never even an option I considered, not for a second. Here's why. 1. I have no desire or interest in being my partner's mother, controller, or investigator. I knew that in order to stay, I would have to change my entire approach to our relationship. I am not and never was responsible for any grown man's choices. He is an adult, and we are supposed to be equal partners. Staying would require me to invest my emotional and psychological energy into trying to predict my partner's actions. My partner that I no longer trust. My partner whose mind I cannot read. I have no interest in monitoring devices, overthinking, feeling unsafe. I care too much for myself to put myself in a situation like this. I want a loving, trusting, honest, compassionate, and kind relationship. Staying would mean I'd have to settle for way less than I'm willing to put up with. 2. I also knew that I would hate him and want to punish him and treat him like crap, and honestly, that's not who I am as a person. I don't want to be in a relationship like that. Unlike him, I'm not abusive. I'm not willing to sacrifice my dignity and self-respect, and my kind, loving heart just to stay in a now broken relationship. For what? To not be alone? F that. I'd rather be alone than in bad company, and he is bad effing company. And honestly, I'm never actually alone. I have myself. 3. He took away my right to informed consent. I was not with the person I agreed to be with, and I was not in the relationship I agreed to be in. To me, this, in and of itself, is a deep violation that I will never be able to forgive him for. If, when we first met, I knew who he truly was and what he was truly capable of, I would have never given him a second look. So he lied, manipulated, and pretended in order to get what he wanted out of me. He was in control the entire time, and I didn't even know. The covert abuse that this is, in my opinion, is the most cruel. I don't even like who this man actually is. In fact, I despise people like this, and he fooled me into thinking he was someone else. It scares me, it disgusts me, and it repulses me. 4. My ex is a 33-year-old man. That means he is, as I mentioned above, a grown adult who's responsible for himself and his choices. I do not just see cheating as a mistake or a series of mistakes. I see it as a character flaw. This means that in order for him to be what I want and need, he would have to change who he is. First of all, most people don't change. And those who do will say firsthand that it took a hell of a lot of work. Work that I knew my ex wouldn't be capable of doing. And even if he was, do you think I'm willing to wait around for this man to grow up? Willing to waste more of my time while he works on himself? No. He should have been in good working order when he met me, as I was when I met him. I already made sure to enter that relationship as an adult who can take responsibility for herself, who can communicate, who knows who she is, who is able to treat a partner with kindness and respect. I expect the same in return. I don't want to date a project. I don't have effing time for that. And 5. He made a fool out of me. The disrespect and blatant disregard for me as a human being and my time, my love, my life is unforgivable. He exploited me. He treated me worse than my enemy ever could. He punished me and abused me and took advantage of me, and I didn't even know he was doing it. He did all of this under my nose. While I was content and feeling safe and thinking I was with a good man who loved me, he was going off and violating me in our relationship. To me, this is so effing despicable, and it's an offense that I can't come back from. There's so much more, but this is the gist of it. I'll never ever regret leaving. In fact, it's one of the things in my life that I am most proud of myself for. It actually reinforced my confidence in myself in a way I hadn't experienced before. It also solidified the trust I have in myself to protect myself from harm, to have my own back, to take care of myself. Staying with him would have meant sacrificing these things, and I'm simply not willing to do so. I wanted to share that with you in case it resonates. I can read the strength you have in your words, and I think you and I are kindred spirits in this sense. I feel your pain, and just know you aren't alone. I'm so sorry you've been treated this way, OP. Please know that you are not damaged goods. You are such a beautiful person that you deserve all the good things and so much love. It's horrendous to think that people have the ability to live double lives like this right under loved ones' noses. It's equally as gross to think that they believe they can fool us. Eventually, the knots untangle and all is revealed. Anyways, these two men are not the only men out there. There are good people out there. Great people. Amazing people willing to give the people they love the world to show them what true love looks like. Don't give up. What are your thoughts? And thank you for joining us today on Our Space. Like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. We'd hate for you to miss out. And if you want to listen to me tell more stories, check out our lounge where I feature a larger variety of non-cheating related stories. See you there.